What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Thursday Stanley Cup Final edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus, and today we've got our friend Mike Grinnell joining in about 5 minutes, but we finally have some real-life hockey to talk about. Game one, wildly entertaining. After the start of that game, I thought Florida was going to be able to hold Edmonton down, but after being 31-0 when leading after any period, going into any intermission, the Florida Panthers blow it, and the Edmonton Oilers find a way to come back from down 3-1 and win in overtime. And it's on the backs of 97 and 29, just like Tyler said yesterday. He called his shot. He said Leon will score. He might have said score two. I don't know if we have that confirmed. We'll have to find that from yesterday. But Colby, your initial thoughts on game one, how you're feeling, and overall vibes right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I'm reading the chat already. TK Fishing says, Colby, Wayne said pregame, McDavid deserves a cup. Okay, well, I respectfully disagree with the great one.
He said, I didn't even hear him say that.
I didn't hear him say that either. Look, I'll tell you one thing that I love about Wayne Gretzky and the job that he does as a broadcaster. Wayne Gretzky is like so positive about everything. You know, you find a lot of former players, especially former greats. What do you?
You're not positive about everything.
I'm not the biggest ambassador for the game of hockey that ever walked the planet Earth.
I was just laughing because, like, you're saying, I know what you're going on to say, and I'm just like, you do this.
Yeah, well, but I'm also not the great one.
You're the Wayne Gretzky of Boston University.
He's a great ambassador because he's so positive. There's no look at Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal when they do Inside the NBA.
Yeah.
They crush the NBA. They crush the players. Like, I got to say, like, it's very, very different in the approach where Wayne Gretzky, have you ever heard him criticize another player? Have you ever, anytime there's a bad goal, a bad turnover, what does he do? He makes it positive. So, like, I give him a lot of credit for not being that alumni who looks at the game now and is kind of negative about it, because I've worked with a lot of people like that who played the game. They were good players and they're negative about it. So, I think that's kind of Wayne Gretzky's thing, and so, but to say again that anybody deserves anything, I mean, go take the cup, man. And last night he let us know that he's here to play, right? And he does want to take the cup. And I'll say this, it wasn't just offensively where Connor McDavid was really good last night. I mean, some of the second and third efforts that he had on, whether he's back pressuring, finishing checks.
Edmonton's F3 all night, I feel like, on the backtrack was just on the money. Obviously outside of that Bennett breakaway, Florida didn't really have any odd man rush chances.
I mean, look, to me, that game last night looked like a game between two teams that hadn't played in a week.
Yeah.
At least the first period, it was Edmonton comes out with their hair on fire. Obviously, they score a goal right off the hop. Absolute. I don't even know the word for the defensive zone coverage on Leon Draisaitl's goal. Like, it was non-existent. It was just all puck watching.
3 Oilers right at the top of the net, untouched.
Well, because
Bennett and Tkachuk got
loose. It's just, look, the first period was loose, right? And you'd expect that. And then, as I'd say, towards the end of the, middle of the second to the late second period, third period, even though Edmonton was all over them in the second part of that game, I did feel like things settled in. Neutral zones got a little bit tighter. Puck management got a little bit better. And, as I'm watching that game, Johnny, I'm sitting there thinking, Edmonton's got to be careful the way that they're managing the puck, because even though they're out playing Florida for stretches here, Florida just kind of hangs out. They just kind of wait, right? And even, look, Florida, I don't remember exactly what the shots were, Johnny, but I know the first period, heavy towards Edmonton.
But the first period still felt a little bit more even than what the shots
said. I'd say Edmonton dominated the first 10 minutes of that period, and then it started to get a little more even in the latter part of the first period, and then it was all Florida in the second, in my opinion. right? I mean,
I don't think the shots are a good indicator of what the first period really was. Granted, though, like things flipped in Florida's momentum a little bit after the Bennett goal and then the challenge and the power play. And, there was that like little 5-minute
what
span.
do you think of that? By the way, Mike Grinnell is joining us here in the next couple of minutes. I don't know if he's here yet, but
I think he's ready. Do you want to bring him on and talk about the goalie
just read him into the show with Proraso.
He's not here yet.
Oh, he's not here yet. Okay. So, what did you think of the the challenge?
Well, I mean, I texted you and Vic right away. I was like, no goal. I know Bennett got tripped, but we had the overhead look and watch Bennett's progression after the contact is made. And listen, like I bet Florida last night. Like I was happy it stood, but Sam Bennett, like, I've made excuses for him in the past. After he gets tripped, his progression just goes right. He knows exactly what he's doing. He goes right into Skinner. His legs start moving towards Skinner after he feels himself get tripped. He knew exactly what he was selling here. I can't believe that this goal actually stood. I thought for sure he was getting called back.
Yeah. So here's my thing on it. Remember, call on the ice is a good goal, right? So they've got to be conclusive. It's got to be 100% in order for them to overturn it. And while I do believe that it was gray, okay, because what you're saying is true, but Kulak also does clip the back of his leg.
He's tripped. He's tripped.
Intentional or not, he clips the back of his leg, okay? And it has to be conclusive. In order to overturn a call on the ice, it cannot be a gray area, okay? And this one to me is a little bit gray. And so I think the officials made the right call by allowing this goal, even though it does look like let's not say it looks like Stuart Skinner couldn't play his position.
No,
he couldn't. There's no doubt. But how he ends up in that situation is a little bit gray. Call on the ice being a good goal. And so, look, I think that it's the right call. I do.
But credit to Sam Bennett too.
I mean, listen, that guy's always around it. He's always around it. Just plain and simple. And Vic texted us right away last night and said, I can't wait for him to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. That guy's not leaving Florida.
No, I agree.
Bennett's going to stay. He knows where his bread is buttered. This guy's not going anywhere. State income tax is everything, right?
Ice Club's, we'll do the state income tax later because Colby and Vic were going at it before the show started. That's why we're like a minute or two late. But Ice Club said, I think technically it's the correct call, but Bennett definitely intentionally went down easily. Like that's probably the best way I'd put it.
Yeah, listen, like I said, there's validity in all that, but at the end of the day,
I was surprised that it stood. I thought for sure that was coming back.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think again, call on the ice. Okay, call on the ice. So you got to always remember the officials can only overturn it, and Toronto's only overturning it if they feel it's 100% conclusive. And so.
And I was happy that
White in the chat. By the way, for those of you who are audio only,
in my biased opinion,
D White's picture on her YouTube is the Edmonton Oilers logo, and she says that was 100% goalie interference and should have been a penalty, in my biased opinion. Yeah, I understand that from an Edmonton Oilers fan perspective, but it was the right goal. It was the right call, in my opinion. Tough one to make, but I thought they did a good job. And look. I thought the officials had a good night. I really did. The officials were not
a lot of calls, but it was consistent.
They were consistent. Again, you'd love to see, and I know I'm going to upset somebody when he listens later, okay? You'd like to see less things called in the playoffs, and then I'm going to get an angry DM from David Roth later, and he's going to tell me, well, what, you want to let people cheat in the playoffs? So obviously, I'll be waiting for that. Yes, David, I will see it later. Yell at me later. But again, consistency is what you're asking for. Don't be the story. Be consistent in the hockey game. And that's what you want. So, overall, I thought game one delivered. Right? It delivered. The Stars delivered. Overtime delivered. I thought both goalies made some saves. I don't think either goalie was unbelievable, but
I thought Bob was great for the most part. I mean,
but you can't let the Arvidsson goal.
He made 3 or 4, like the Frederick chance in overtime. Like, granted, Frederick kind of muffed it a little bit, but Bob made a couple of incredible saves in overtime to keep his team alive. Like I thought for sure, like me and like we were texting in our chat, and Vic and I were kind of on the same side, like that Florida was going to score an ugly one because of how well Bob was playing, and then it was going to be like an anticlimactic, finish because of Bob on one end stopping something, and Florida will just get one chance and bury it. I thought both goalies actually played pretty strong, outside of maybe the first 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The one goal though.
What did you think of the and yes, I know Tommy's letting me know in the chat that Bob couldn't see the Arvidsson goal. Yeah, listen, Podkolzin had a little flash screen, and Brian Boucher was quick to defend Goalie Nation on this, but I don't know, like to me, like his glove is you look, if you touch it, you should save it. I mean, I don't know. Like to me, I'm not going to call it a soft goal, but I'm going to call it a goal that I'd like to see him stop. Good play by Podkolzin to drive through the lane there, creates just a little bit of space for Arvidsson. Arvidsson goes with the wind up there, but it was quick. It wasn't necessarily a skyscraper. And he's able to score that goal, which, I mean, look, at that point, you're not feeling real comfortable at 3-1. Although, let me go back to it, Johnny. The Edmonton Oilers, when they're down by 2 goals, they have real belief that it doesn't matter. And better yet, so does Florida. Like, you basically have 2 teams that are wildly comfortable being down by 2 goals. And for every argument you want to make about one team being better than the other in this series, you have the exact same co-argument on the other side, right? Like, these 2 teams can really, really play with each other.
There's no doubt last night the better team won. And that's what I was going to say too. Like, I was happy that with, my feelings toward the Bennett goal, the first one, and how Marchand scores in the ensuing power play and how that sort of changed the game. I would have hated for the Oilers to lose the game that way. So I'm happy that the Oilers actually played better, and that wasn't the total result, or that didn't lead to the result of the game, because Florida the game could have changed right there, and the Oilers, I thought, were the better team throughout a majority of that game.
Yeah.
Like the third period and overtime, the third period especially, it felt like McDavid versus the Panthers.
Yeah,
like,
he had the puck on his stick a lot.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, listen, he looks like a guy who's not going to be denied this year. He really does. So
we see the messages about Marco Sturm being named the Bruins head coach. We do have Grenell like joining here any second. I'm sure that's kind of what's holding him up right now. Obviously, everyone knows he's a Boston Bruins guy. So we'll talk about that once G gets on here, because
has that been announced? Is that something that's
the entire chat is saying it just got announced?
Oh yeah, there you go. Boston Bruins 3 minutes ago. Marco Sturm is coming home. Marco Sturm has been named the 30th head coach in Boston Bruins history.
Yeah, and G's tweeting about it. So.
Didn't Marco Sturm score
Winter Classic OT goal?
The OT goal? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we played BC in that year at Fenway a couple of days after the Winter Classic, which that was really cool. Yeah, listen, I think that we'll see how that plays out. I remember Marco Sturm was coaching the German team at the Olympics when I was in Pyeongchang. Oh, way to go, Vic. How about this?
You got the goal up already? Wow.
This is when the Winter Classic was still like really cool.
Yeah, the second one ever.
I still think it's a great event because they still sell 60 or 70,000 tickets, and like that's revenue in the pocket of the National Hockey League. So I'm not going to say, oh, we're abusing and ruining outdoor games. Like I'm not on that level, but that's when the Winter Classic, even as a fan, like, I mean, I was playing still at that time. That's when it was really cool. Like it was like, you got ready for the Winter Classic, even if you're still playing. It was in the American League, I guess, the following season, and we were all huddled up ready to watch the Winter Classic. So, last thing I'll say, Johnny, just like about the game, and I know we're going to continue to kind of talk about different facets of the game. Something that you asked me yesterday that I just kind of was rethinking about during the game was you were like asking me, like, who would you take? Like the Florida Panthers defense or or the Edmonton Oilers defense. And like, without hesitation, you're like, okay, yeah, the Florida Panthers decor is unbelievably good.
Not last night.
Well, listen, I don't even know if I want to say that necessarily, but look, sure, your top four in Florida is really good. And then Nate Schmidt and Dmitry Kulikov as the third pair is, I mean, again, like built really well. But, with Ekholm back, again, I've never been a huge Brett Kulak fan. Like I've just always felt like he leaves you wanting more. He's a big guy, he skates well. He seems to have these moments though where things get gray and foggy pretty quick. He kind of gets on some adventures at times in that game. But like the third pair of Jake Wallman and John Klingberg, like
Wallman was great last night.
You might run into a defensive error here and there, but Wallman and Klingberg can get the puck out of trouble with their feet really well. Like these are really mobile guys, right? And
I also thought Wallman played really physical last night.
Agreed. But my point is like when your third pair can skate themselves out of trouble so well, they're not going to necessarily spend as much time defending on their heels, right? And then, you get Ekholm back who like he's as good a defender, right, as you have. Like, is he Jacob Slavin for 200 feet? No. But can he defend in his own zone about as well as any defenseman in the National Hockey League? Yes. So like I feel like if you said to me, like, circle the one guy that makes you nervous on the back end for Edmonton, it's only Kulak. And he has his moments when he's good too, but I just feel like if I'm running the defense and I'm Edmonton, like, what does that say? Sorry, that flashed on.
Kulak was horrendous last night. Absolute pylon from Sniper.
Okay, so I'm more looking at it like if I'm Paul Coffey, like there's just some adventurous shifts that I don't feel good about with 27. But the rest of the decor, like, again, John Klingberg, like, is he the same guy from 5 years ago? No, but like, to me, he still creates. He still moves the puck. He still skates you out of trouble defensively. He still has a good stick. And so, I was so quick to kind of dismiss the back end yesterday when you asked me. Now, I still think Florida's decor with the personnel that they have is better on paper. But look, I think having Ekholm back, like, that is game. I mean, what a difference. Yeah. Right.
And on the flip side, Derek just wrote it in the chat. Forsling was out of character last night. That was the first thing I said to Vic this morning when I got on here. I was like, well, that move by Evan Bouchard, first of all, in overtime, if he would have buried that, Bouchard goes like under the stick of Forsling, then had a chance to go to his backhand to forehand. Here's the move right here, Vic on the money. Like Evan Bouchard making this play, like Forsling just, you never see him get beat one-on-one like that. But there were so many instances last night where I was like, what is Forsling doing? Even on the first Draisaitl goal, like he's kind of drifting. He doesn't pick up a man.
But can I say something here?
Yeah.
He plays defense moving forward, as most of the defensemen do.
What do you mean by that? Explain that.
They're always moving forward. When do you ever see their D backing up and like traditional back skating? Those guys take angles and take ice, right? And they almost are generally skating forward or parallel and not straight backwards in the way that they play. And that will lead to breakdowns. It does. You just have to bury on those breakdowns. But like, how many Forsling has a very wide base, right? So even when he moves forward at you, he doesn't give you a lot of room to go left or right. But it's Seth Jones, it's Ekblad, it's Forsling. One defenseman will be coming back on an angle. The other one is literally skating forward and taking ice and trying to squeeze and pinch in the neutral zone. So that's where sometimes they have those breakdowns in the middle of the ice where a little lob play into the middle and all of a sudden a McDavid or a Draisaitl or, if Hyman were playing in this series, he'd be a guy benefiting on that.
Yeah.
Will find themselves in good ice, right? Florida kind of lives and dies by that. And then they have Bob, who generally steps up to make those saves. Now, granted, they make the plays defensively normally, right? So it's not as if it burns them enough. They're in the Stanley Cup Finals for the third year in a row, but Florida does not defend in the traditional sense of backing up. They are a forward-moving group at all times, and there will be times where it catches up with them.
And then their first forward comes back to retrieve the puck.
Yeah, their back pressure is incredible.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's take a little pause in last night's game because we do have G here ready with us, and I'm sure he's coming in with his hair on fire right now, but probably because of happiness. So before we bring on Mike Grinnell, just a quick word from our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. And G, what are your vibes right now? You must be pretty happy. What is on your upper lip? What is that?
It's muzzy season, boys.
Terrible. Shave that right now.
I like it.
I hate it.
I like it.
You finally look hot. Alana's got you
suddenly
well.
Johnny gets a girlfriend and he's cocky all of a sudden, telling guys how they can and can't grow their facial
You looked
facial
hot
hair.
last week on that video that Alana posted. You're in linen. Your hair looks great. Now you're growing a mustache.
Here's the thing. I have a punchable face. I just got one of those faces that's I'm trying to do anything in my power right now just to make myself less punchable. So that's where I'm at right now. If that's trying to grow a mustache, I'm trying to grow a mustache, but that's where we're at.
So
I'm not a fan, but maybe
obviously we're talking about the Stanley Cup last night, but minutes ago the Boston Bruins just announced their head coach, and again, this we had no idea when we were talking last night that this would happen today. So let me just ask you, like, initial emotions and thoughts and feelings about the hire.
I love it. And as you guys know, I've been pretty critical of the Bruins the past season. But I think this is a great move. I think this is a guy, Marco Sturm. He's been with the Ontario Reign for the past few years and notoriously good communicator with players. And I think that's something that's so important nowadays, and good with young guys, good with Europeans. I think that's all things that the Bruins need right now. They need to be able to develop like a guy like Fabian Lysell. I think he'll benefit from a guy like Marco Sturm coming in and helping him out. But I love the hire. It's just initial reaction kind of just hit me. I'm trying to think about it. I was working the phones all morning and everyone was telling me Sturm. I did hear Jay Leach from a few people as well, but yeah. And my biggest question in all of this, I think, is 88 happy? Is 88 happy with this hire? Is David Pastrnak happy with this hire? Because that's all I really care about right now is keeping 88 happy. Because this team's not going to be good. This team's not great. So I think you got to keep him happy as long as you can so he doesn't request a trade.
Well, let me just ask you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Would you trade Will Cooley for David Pastrnak?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. I just wanted to. You obviously didn't hear the show. You didn't hear the show yesterday, G, where Johnny went on this whole thing about how he'd rather a guy who gets 20 on the third line than 41 Jason Robertson, who's 25 and gets 40 goals every year. It got pretty contentious yesterday between him and I going at it. And Brant Berglund texted us this morning and said, "What about Charlie Coyle? He gets you 20 goals on the third line. Would you? Who wouldn't you trade him for, Johnny?" So I guess the joke's on Johnny this morning, eh, G?
He's getting offer sheeted, Johnny. It's happening.
Yeah, well, that's why there's concern. That's why there's a lot of concern, because right now he's a guy who's an RFA that's not signed yet. So that's why
would look great on that second line right wing in Boston.
He actually would.
Bruin player.
Let me ask you, because look, you've also been critical of Don Sweeney, and a lot of it's fair. And there are times that I've also pushed back with you on it, and I've tried to just give you a balanced counter argument on some of the Don Sweeney, hatred, but. Can we at least agree on the fact that I think Don Sweeney's pretty good at hiring coaches, right? Like, you look at his coaching hires, that is an area
fires him too quickly.
That could be a fair argument.
That's everyone
again, but time out. We don't know if the firings are coming from Sweeney too. So we can't make that assumption.
Okay,
but I would say Don Sweeney is very good at hiring coaches, and he's very good at making trades. Like he is a great, like, if Don Sweeney more times than not, I think you're like, wow, the Bruins kind of won that trade. So my biggest gripe has just been the drafting and development,
and that's fair.
And you need a scapegoat as well. You need someone to point the finger at after a season like last season. But I don't want to say I'm coming around on Don Sweeney, but like the extension that he got, that makes sense. Like Bruins fans, like you read all the comments and they're like, this is crazy. This makes no sense. Well, what coach is gonna, like, they probably met with Rick Tocchet. They probably did. And Rick Tocchet probably said, hey, there's a lot of uncertainty upstairs. Like, let's figure out, you got to figure out that uncertainty before we move forward. And so I understand them extending Don Sweeney. And I think this seventh overall pick he has this upcoming draft is, he can't miss. He couldn't miss on this coaching hire, and he can't miss on this 7th overall pick.
You just said you judge him on his drafting and developing. You said he can't miss now?
Yes, because he's at the final straw.
Like, if he misses, he's done.
Yes.
I thought you meant like it's an automatic sure thing, like they'll get someone good. Okay, I missed.
No, it's definitely not an automatic sure thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I remember I covered the 2000. I was at the 2018 Olympics, doing NBC radio for those games, and Marco Sturm was the coach for the German team.
Zach Boychuk was in the chat, just said German legend before.
Yeah, and so I mean that team went all the way, I think, and lost the gold medal game. I think they got silver, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they went on like a crazy run that year, did they?
Yeah.
Not?
Now, granted, listen, the Olympics that year sucked. There was no NHL players. Like it was like AHL hockey, but with players who didn't play with each other normally. So it was very sloppy. But you know, I'll have to ask, like Yannick Seidenberg might be a good guest even for you guys to try to get. He played for that team, that German team. Obviously, we know his brother Dennis was a great Bruin, but Yannick played in that Olympics for the German team. I could actually introduce you if you want, like set you guys up on a text if you guys want to bring him on game notes or something and ask him about, you know, Marco Sturm. But look, I think that We'll see what happens this summer.
Colby, did you not play with him? Did you play with Sturm when you were in Boston?
No, he got traded out, and then I came in the following year. Like
he wasn't on that Cup team, I don't think, right?
No, he wasn't there. Yeah, no, he got traded. He left after the Winter Classic year, and then I was there the next season. So, but I heard great. I mean, nobody ever said a bad thing about this guy, and Jay Leach would have been a good. You know, would have been a good hire. I'm a big Leachy fan, but I think Marco Sturm has that presence that we always talk about where like you just walk into a room and like they don't have to necessarily say anything, but they just have a presence that sort of can fill the room and lead men.
How much goes into, like, Colby, you've sat in an NHL locker room. I'd love to hear your take on this. Fuck you, Johnny. Is like Marco Sturm was a good player. Like he was a good player at the end of the day. And like, how much do you think that plays into like, just like the respect factor? Like, oh, this guy did it. So like, it's like with Rod the Bod, right? Like, it's like guys respect him because he did it. He's in the gym working out with them. Like they know he's been there, done that before. Like, do you think that matters as much as I'm kind of making it out to be right now?
No, I think that matters a lot. And I'll tell you where it matters. Like when Jeremy Colleton comes into the Chicago Blackhawks locker room, he has to start from like a 0. When Marco Sturm walks into the Bruins locker room, he starts at a 10, right? And then he has to basically backtrack to fuck it up, where a guy who is Rod Brind'Amour, a guy who's Marco Sturm. I remember when Derek King took over as interim head coach in Chicago, right? Right away, Patrick Kane said, this guy scored a lot of goals in the NHL. So like my eyes and ears are open. Kaner straight up said that. And it was a little bit of a shot to me at Jeremy Colleton, who only played a handful of games. Jeremy Colleton was an American leaguer right alongside me. I used to play against him all the time in Bridgeport.
With the Islanders, right?
He was in Bridgeport. And listen, Colleton was a fucking asshole to play against. I mean, he played on a line, I remember, with Rhett Rakshani in Bridgeport, and that was a brutal line because Colleton did the dirty work and Rakshani did the scoring. Both were probably good enough to play in the NHL. They just didn't kind of find their way into the right situations. But it's big, G. It is big when a player walks into your locker room as your head coach and you're like, okay, this guy's done it. Like this guy understands what it's like to be in this stall in this moment. And so you're basically giving him a way bigger head start on earning your trust and respect that a guy who, again, who didn't play. First off, I really like Jeremy Colton. This isn't to be negative. I had a great relationship with him. I hated playing against him, which is a compliment because of the way that the guy played. But, there's a difference. It just is. And I think that, that's just human nature, G, but it's true.
Yeah, it's tough to, it's a weird feeling right now, right? Because like they're
it's
probably not going to be
coach when you're not excited about a roster. That's
exactly. Thing. And I just made a video, and that's why I was kind of like late coming on. And the end of the video is like, this is great, but like let's go work on the roster now. Like let's give us something to actually be excited about, because I mean, you could have fucking Scotty Bowman behind the bench of the Boston Bruins in his prime, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if fucking Pavel Zacha is your first line center. It's just not going to work.
I said the same shit about Mike Sullivan and the Rangers. Like, I'm still on paper. I don't think Mike Sullivan makes this into like the Stanley Cup champion team. Like, I still need to see a better team on paper before I'm excited. Like, I get it.
It's like, exactly and like, this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I'd love to kind of hear your guys' take on it, because like Biz and Anson kind of brought this up on TNT, and it's like the whole state tax thing, and people are focused so heavy on the Florida teams, and I'm wondering now, like, for so long, Boston has been good, which makes them a desirable place to be. The city is great; it's an awesome city, but at the end of the day,
metropolitan city left, honestly,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, people wanted to come there because of the culture, and they're good. So like, I wonder now if teams like Boston and New York are gonna struggle a bit more, because it's like they're going into dark times. You have the athlete or the millionaire tax in Massachusetts and all these different things. It's like, I don't know.
Is it really dark times?
Let me read this.
The Bruins have the 7th overall pick. That's pretty dark, Johnny.
Yeah, but listen, it's still Boston, and here's the thing. By the way, I see someone in the chat. Joe Albany's just said, "What the WTF? Why is David Quinn coming back to the New York Rangers?"
I think they just announced that. Yeah,
they just announced he's going with Sully to the Rangers.
Elliot just tweeted, word is David Quinn and Joe Sacco are in the process of joining Mike Sullivan's staff.
Wow. So like, you've got an all BU staff for the new. So Quinn goes as head coach. Drury fires him. Now it's such a fucked up business of like, I hate you today, let's hug it out tomorrow. I actually kind of love it. Like, I love that Quinn and Drury are like, hey, listen, like, we're just going to work together. It was ugly. It was personal, but now we're all going to work together like that. I kind of love it. And it's also kind of fucked up.
I'll say this. Actually, sorry. I was actually going to talk about Dan Muse. I kind of wanted to bring his name into this.
Yeah, go ahead, because that's news.
Yeah, like I sent, when I was sending some texts out this morning to try to figure out who the next Bruins coach was going to be, 2 different guys responded. Not sure about the Bruins, but I love this hiring in Pittsburgh. This guy's unbelievable. The whole Chicklets group chat yesterday is getting texts from NHL players about just praising this guy left and right. And I'll be honest, like, I haven't heard much about this guy. Johnny, like, in New York, like, what were you hearing about this guy? Like, are you pissed that they kind of missed out on this supposed, prodigy coach?
It's now 2 coaching hires in a row where, Knobloch was the next guy in line. He had coached Hartford for so long, and he seemed like the guy who was going to take the job in New York. He goes to Edmonton. Granted, he's gifted McDavid and Draisaitl, but he's now in back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals. And now Dan Muse comes in 2 years ago from NTDP, known to be great with the younger guys, good communicator, new school sort of coaching. And now he goes to Pittsburgh, and we get another, best guy available at the time hire. And listen, no one's going to say Mike Sullivan is a bad hire, but to me, Laviolette at the time and Sullivan at the time are just the best name on paper and the best resume, right? It doesn't mean they're the best fit for what this team needs. So,
but I think Chris Drury's looking at this like right now is like, we got to win a Stanley Cup. Like,
I know he is.
He's gonna overhaul his roster and try to win a Stanley Cup. And I think the GMs, look, it's no different than a coach that wants to play veteran players because they know that their job depends on it. Like Chris Drury is not sitting there going, I'm going to take a chance on Dan Muse. Now, listen, former Chicago Steel head coach who's a champion in that league, coached at the National Development. First off, the Chicago Steel, like, let's give them a little golf clap for what they've got going on right now. Yeah. They go out and they get Scott Gomez and Mike Motto. Let's not forget about Mike Motto here. Okay, that guy is going to be a wizard of a D coach, probably in the NHL very shortly. Okay, and I played with him when he was at the end of his career, and he was basically player coach, Motts. Unbelievable guy, G. I'm sure you know him.
Were you talking about it yesterday about how like Gomez's like rise, like the way he's doing it, like taking the BCHL job and the UCHL? Yeah. I love it. I couldn't agree more with what you said yesterday. I meant to
we talked about the video too that Biz did with him and Motto. That was great.
Yeah, it was. And the way he's doing it is like he's not just jumping onto an NHL staff right away. No. He's rising the ranks. I love it.
He was. People do forget he was an assistant coach with the Islanders for I think 2 years or 3 years.
Which gives me even more respect for what he's doing because he's like, look, I know what I don't know. The NHL is not a development league, although slowly but surely with all the young guys, it is sort of becoming a little development league at times. But as I was kind of making my way through that thought, like, you know, with the Chicago, like Danny Wirtz, you know, Glenn, the USHL, they just announced a new like Fifth Third Arena at where the Blackhawks practice. They just built a massive addition. They're building this beautiful, like it's gonna be the number one like perfect arena in the USHL.
Wait, that rink in Chicago that already has two ice sheets?
They're gonna have 4 sheets now. One of them is gonna be where the Chicago Steel play. Listen. The Wirtzes don't, and you know, rest in peace to Rocky. Now Danny's taking over. They don't mess around because they have more money than God himself. And I guarantee you that place I saw the renderings. It is going to be unbelievable. But you talk about the momentum of Celebrini, Fantilli, now it's Scott Gomez. Every year, the coach from the Chicago Steel is seemingly going to the NCAA, the AHL, the NHL, whatever. Like that program has separated itself as sort of a model standard. And, you know, good on Danny Wirtz for making this investment into his USHL team and what they're doing. And again, this is all connecting back to Dan Muse. Let me ask you this, though. Is Dan Muse set up for success? Because I don't know, man. Pittsburgh, but that is a black hole.
That was my response, though. I said, roster is garbage. Like that.
That's why you bring in
Gavin McKenna. Gavin McKenna, he could be coaching Gavin McKenna in 2 years. That's where that roster's at.
But does Dubas have? Listen, does Kyle Dubas have 2 more years? Like, do the Fenway Sports guys have buyer's remorse for buying that franchise right now? Are they looking to sell a minority chunk? Like,
well, look at how they handle the Red Sox. They've always been quick to pull the trigger on the Red Sox. I'd say since like 2013, they've had like 4 or 5 GMs. So like, I wouldn't be shocked one bit if they fired Dubas.
Well, I did speak to a younger player on the Rangers just about Dan Muse, and like he was saying, like he's a great coach. He knows exactly how to speak to guys who are going through it. And sometimes the younger guys, especially like we're going to see in Pittsburgh, like even Rutger this year, spent a lot of time in the AHL. Like Muse is one of those guys who would pull them aside, have a conversation, be personable, get to know them as a human being. Like those things are a little bit, you know, I know it doesn't seem like much, but a lot of old school coaches don't do that, right?
Harder to do that as a head coach, though, Johnny. Much harder in the NHL to do that as a head coach.
But if that's what he's been doing to this point, he's not just going to change now because he's an NHL head coach.
I don't know. Like, isn't that something that happens quite often where like a guy will change when he goes from the assistant to the head coach? Because like you're everyone's best friend.
Yeah, everyone's best friend is level dealing with younger players. That's like something that he's probably accustomed to.
I'm not saying he's going to go from being a player's first guy to a hard ass, iron fisted dictator, but it is a different role, right? Muse's role with the Rangers was, okay, we have Lavi, who's the hammer. So like he needs to be a little bit softer. So look, I'm just happy Joe Sacco landed somewhere. Like I know you love Sacco too. I mean, again, those are Joe Sacco and even more David Quinn are two people that are near and dear to my heart. I want nothing but success for those guys. Honestly, I literally said to a friend of mine who's another alumni at BU recently, when he asked me where Quinny was going, if he'd go to the Rangers, I was like, no chance. So, like, obviously, I completely misread that whole situation. I think Quinny was a finalist for the Pittsburgh job.
Yeah.
But again, I think that job would have been a total shit show.
When's Chucky coming, G? When's Chucky coming home?
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to get.
I think he ends up a Flyer. By the way, not
Really?
not a Bruin. That's what I think. Listen.
We're talking
Charlie McAvoy.
Brady Tkachuk.
Oh
no,
I thought we were talking Brady. I thought we were talking Brady Tkachuk.
Oh no, I was talking Charlie McAvoy. Look at the.
When you said I thought you were talking Brady Tkachuk. Yeah,
no,
that's what I thought.
Me too.
I was talking McAvoy. My bad.
McAvoy ain't going anywhere.
Well, look at the Rangers coaching staff. That was the only reason why.
He's not. He doesn't want to play for his fucking father-in-law.
His college coach, father-in-law, former now head coach.
I'll tell you what. Let me say this about Joe Sacco. I heard up until last week that prominent Bruins players were pushing very hard for Sacco to return as coach, and I think that's why he stayed in it as long as he did. I don't think players really feel as though he got a fair shot. Basically, they hire him, they go on that winning streak. A month later, they trade the whole roster. So I love Sacco. I think he would have been I'm like you said, I'm glad he landed on his feet somewhere.
Yeah.
But it sucks, put 14 years into the organization and then kind of dealt a shitty hand. It's the business. It's the business, and that's how it goes. But was dealt a shitty hand, and I'm like you guys said, I'm glad he landed on his feet.
Yeah. All right, let's pivot and talk about the game a little bit. We started the show the first 20 minutes we spent a lot of time kind of talking about the Oilers. We kind of have brushed through some of the bigger moments in the game. What do you think from last night's not getting enough attention as far as, what happened throughout, that 4 periods of hockey?
I thought Jake Wallman looked awesome.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people are talking about Jake Wallman enough. And
Johnny brought it up. Johnny brought him up.
I missed that. Klingberg as well. Like, it's just like you had to give picks away to get Jake Wallman off your roster a few years ago. Klingberg was sent to Robidas Island. Like, and now they're playing 16 minutes a game in the Stanley Cup Finals. Just like they look incredible. The way Wallman, the way he gets the puck up ice, I just think it's
Klingberg too. That third pair. Yeah. Like I said to Johnny, I said that pair doesn't get hemmed in because they both can skate themselves out of trouble. And that is something Edmonton did not have last season.
It's like the one-man breakout, right?
I will say, G, I played against Wallman when he was at Providence, and they had a Mini Desharnais at the time too. I blocked a Wallman shot. One of the hardest slap shots I've ever had to block in my entire life.
Oh, really?
He's got a low-key bomb. I don't think people talk about his shot enough. I mean,
he's a high-skilled player.
Yeah, you didn't see much of it last night, but
yeah. I got one more too. Kasperi Kapanen. Like this guy.
His speed.
This guy. Like this guy is. Wasn't he on waivers at one point? Like this is incredible.
I think so, yeah.
Like I just love to see guys like that like at one point in this season, they probably sat down with their wife and like, fuck honey, like, I don't know. Like, maybe we go to Europe next season. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like all these different things, like I'm on waivers right now. And like, come on, like he is flying out there.
He didn't start the playoffs in the lineup either.
No,
exactly. He was odd man out, right? And
he had 2 assists last night.
Listen, I always want to call Chris Knobloch Chuck Knobloch. Like I literally every time I go to say Knobloch, I'm like Chris.
Me too. I do it all the time.
That guy has pulled the right levers. When to keep the big dogs separated. When to move Podkolzin and Perry up the lineup. Like and it's not as if Maurice hasn't done the same stuff. Like again, like we're not. I know what's going to happen today. We're going to get a bunch of angry Panthers fans that are like, you hate the Panthers, blah, blah, blah. Like, listen, we said this off the top. For every plus pro for Edmonton, you could have the exact same counter argument for the Florida Panthers. That game goes 4 periods, almost a complete 4 periods, deadlocked. That is what this series is. It's the two best teams. They can go tit for tat offensively, right? We think there's an edge in goal with Florida, but not last night. Stu made one more save, right? He made one more save. Take it or leave it. He made one more. And it's going to be a great series. Like, I don't think it's going to be quick at all, Johnny.
Well, I will say, someone, I forgot who wrote in the chat that I have to get off my knees about defending the Panthers. Apparently, I'm a Panthers glazer now all of a sudden. But I was saying last night,
have set the bar in the NHL for excellence.
Exactly. But I thought, I don't know if I would say for 4 periods it was neck and neck. Like I thought,
of course it not. It was not
neck and overtime. It was all Edmonton.
Right. Like the game swung. It was Edmonton, then it was Florida, then it went back to Edmonton. Like, who's going to
second period was awful for the Oilers.
Yeah.
That was a tough second period.
They were on their heels. Bouchard turns that one over in the middle of the ice. Like, you can't give Florida free chances. Like, look how they score those goals so quickly.
Yeah. One last thing. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but the Oilers win song. Have you guys heard it?
Club?
No, in the locker room, the one they got
going.
It's I plead the fifth. I did some shit when I was drunk last night. Oh, it's incredible.
Isn't he like the mashup guy on TikTok? Like that country singer does the mashups?
I think Cooper Allen is his name. He's incredible.
I'm pretty sure he's a TikTok guy. I've seen his
stuff.
The other thing,
you need a good win song. Like every championship run, they have a great win song. They're all just buzzing, laughing, goofing in the locker room after. I saw that video that they posted. I'm like, they got something. This team just like they got that like mojo.
Everyone's saying it's called Plead the Fifth.
I love it. I love that song.
Okay. I also love the horn in Edmonton after a goal. Like it's like that, whatever that noise is, it's like, it almost sounds like when you hear a semi truck beeping, but like off in the distance, you know what I mean? Like it's not right in front of you. You kind of hear it from like, a couple of lights away or whatever. Like it's so good in Edmonton when the fans are going nuts and like you see the sea of the orange jerseys and it's really good after a goal in Edmonton. It is.
I think Gretz said it on the pregame show last night, but like what is one of the biggest differences in this series from this year to last year? And it's game
that Edmonton's home.
And it's like anyone who stepped in Rogers Place in Edmonton knows that there is such a home ice advantage when you play there. Like it's the loudest arena I've ever heard. You have chills during the national anthem. It's an experience watching hockey like I've never been a part of. So game 7, if it goes 7 at Edmonton, it's like it's impossible to not pick against that team.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. G, can we keep you for a bit? Or are you busy? Yeah, you going anywhere?
No, I'm good. What's up?
We kind of want to get into the Gary Bettman stuff from yesterday, Colby, unless you have any final thoughts.
Yeah, let's do that. But hold on. The last thing I wanted to say, because I pulled this up while that whole state tax thing came up. The lockout, and we'll get into Bill Daly's comments next, right? Johnny, you want to read Bill Daly's comment, and then I'll give
about the income tax.
Yeah, like just read what Bill Daly said. Was it yesterday he talked or the day before or whatever?
Yeah.
Read his quote on that.
So some of our franchises have expressed a level of concern in the matter. At this point, we don't share the same level of concern. These imbalances have existed forever.
Okay, so Vic says, yeah, but since the salary cap, it matters. So the salary cap comes in 04-05 after the lockout. Okay, I want to read the Stanley Cup champions to you since that. Carolina, Anaheim, California, worst tax state there is. Detroit, state income. Pittsburgh, PA, high state income tax. Chicago, ridiculously high. Boston, ridiculously high. LA, ridiculously high. Chicago, LA, Chicago, Pitt, Washington. I don't know what it's like in Missouri for St. Louis. Then you have this run of Tampa, Colorado, Vegas, Florida. So you have a little bit of recency run in there, but going back to when the salary cap came in, there is not enough data here that suggests that it matters that much. Like, and even look at the teams that were the runner-ups in all these cups, okay? Going back to after the lockout, Edmonton, Ottawa, Pitt, Detroit, Philly, Vancouver, New Jersey, Boston, New York. Okay, there's Tampa, then San. Like, there's a lot of California. There's a lot of Boston. There's a lot of Chicago. So it's too small of a recency window for us to sit here and say that this state income tax thing is such a major advantage. Is it a little advantage? Yes. But is it as big as they're saying? I don't know. You look like you're going to disagree with me here. So let's hear it.
I don't want to blame the Dems. I don't want to blame the libs here. I don't want to blame the libs, but everything kind of changed in COVID, right? Like, think about even all your friends and all the people you know. Everyone was kind of like, fuck this. Why am I living around here? Why don't I go live in a warm, tax-friendly state? And
True.
I agree with exactly what you're saying, where you're like, the data does not support this. But there was this shift in the way everyone was thinking when COVID happened. And everyone was kind of like, fuck taxes. What the fuck am I paying for here? And also, let me go live in a warm state. Like, you see it all the time.
Everybody can work from home too.
Let me make one point too, because this is something Vic brought up as well.
Fucking libs.
Let's not get political here. Let's not get political here.
He can do whatever he wants. Listen, he gets to have his opinion. What do you mean? He gets listen. We're open to any and all opinions on this show, no matter where you come from, no matter what side you're on.
I'm never just talking about hockey.
Have your opinions on this show, Johnny. We're open to hearing everybody's side of everything. And like I always say, everybody's entitled to my opinion. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. But here's what Vic said. He thinks if this was happening, let's say New York, Boston, Chicago, Toronto, these weren't, let's say these states had no income tax. He thinks if this was a problem in the big cities, the popular hockey markets, the NHL would step in right away and do something. But because these markets that there's no state income tax are technically not the traditional hockey markets, there's no problem because Gary and Bill Daly want those teams to be good and be competitive.
I think there's something that's kind of fair. Like, they've been spending years and years trying to like build up Florida and build like
Seattle, Vegas.
They're trying to build these teams up that have been so shitty for so long. And it's like, well, fuck, they're finally good. We can't mess with this. We can't.
Yeah, but
more sample size.
But Tampa and Dallas have not had a problem for years having deep runs. Like, Tampa's won in 03-04, and then they didn't win again until their recent stretch of dominance. But like, you look at the results, they've been in a lot of conference finals. They've been in a lot of second and third rounds. Like, I just feel like all we do here is like, nobody wants to call out really good management, really good GMing, really good drafting, trading. Like, we're like, it's state income tax. Like, how about fucking Zito goes out and trades for Marchand and trades for Seth Jones and gets teams to eat money and picks off Forsling on waivers. And like,
I think that's the biggest factor. That's definitely the biggest factor. It's kind of like we said with Boston before, is like good management, good culture. They're gonna be good for a while. That's the number one reason guys are going there. But maybe the reason they're signing that second contract is state income tax. I mean, look at Reinhart. Look at Sam Reinhart. Like, he got 9-5 after scoring 59 goals. He could have went anywhere and got 10-11, 11-5.
They won the cup. Why would he want to go anywhere else?
Exactly.
Most guys do, though. Most guys are looking for that.
Montour went somewhere else.
That cash in. I mean, but also
actually, Montour went to a no state income tax place too.
I get an extra year. I mean, look, every guy's different, right? Some guys value years and stability and a no move or a no trade clause over a few extra dollars. Like, every situation's a little different. All right, Johnny, go to the Gary Bettman stuff that you wanted to kind of dive into a little bit, and we'll poke around here with G. And then look, we still got another show tomorrow, so we gotta save some stuff to talk about for tomorrow, since we don't have hockey till tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the next one I kind of wanted to bring up was, where we're at with, like, I don't know if this is like a big topic, but are we done with All-Star games? I know that was asked about by Frank yesterday. And I think the quote was, whatever we do for next season, we need to respect that players will be focused on heading to Milan for the Olympics, while they do try to create some buzz at UBS Arena for the All-Star game. But like, it seems like All-Star games are just done, at least for the fans.
I hope so. They stink.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's not a huge topic, but that's just one that, we wanted to bring up. But I am all for abolishing the All-Star game as well.
I think you got to think of something. Like, there has to be something where we can give these players a break, but we can also, find a way to keep hockey fans entertained and keep the buzz going about it. I don't know.
Well, is it more so about like, like if I was a younger kid, like 10 years ago, I would have thought it was so cool, like for a rookie to go play in an All-Star game with, like, I remember the first time I saw Fox on the ice with Ovechkin and Crosby as teammates. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty sick,
So my suggestion, I don't know if I said it on, I don't know what show I said it on. Oh, fuck, something's ringing in my ear. I don't know what show I said it on, but a Young Guns tournament, I think could be cool where it's country based, where it's like you have USA, it's like the 4 nations, but not the best. The best of the best guys who are going
under
over
23 or something like that.
Yeah, under 23, and it would be cool if like you could somehow mix the World Juniors into that as well, like get it all timed up correctly. But yeah, like an under 23 tournament where it's like US, Canada, Sweden, Finland, Russia, and it's a good way to promote young players, keep the nationality aspect of the game high. Everyone's always going to root for their country. I think it could work.
Yeah, something involving the young guys, because I think the veteran players understand there's a responsibility other than pretty much Nikita Kucherov, who just doesn't give a shit, which again, totally respect it. The guy has a point of view on it and doesn't want to do it, so he does what he wants to do. No problem for me. But the young guys are the ones who are more excited to do it, and I do think it's a good opportunity to showcase them and let the old guys, get to Cabo for a couple of days. The old guys, let the veteran players get to Cabo, recharge, get a little vitamin D, and get ready for their push. So they'll come up with something.
And that kind of goes to a point that I did want to bring up about McDavid and Draisaitl, and I think they look rested right now, and I think that was such a difference. Well, no shit, but I mean, last year they were fucking banged up. They had separated shoulder. They had all these injuries going in, and I wonder, like, guys always talk about like, what did you learn? McDavid's learned stuff from that run last year. Like, what do you guys think he learned? Because I think what he learned was like, I need to be good. We're getting to the Cup Finals, so I need to be my best self for the Cup Finals. Whether that's, I don't want to say he's not giving it 110% every night, but maybe not laying out for blocking shots in the first or second round. And I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because I just think it's been great to see Leon and Connor at their best at the biggest stage.
Well, they certainly were not as dialed for most of the season. I mean, this is a team that flipped a switch after game 2 of the first round. I mean, this was not.
But that's my point.
Well, yeah,
but that's my point. Maybe they didn't have their foot on the gas pedal as hard as they did in years past, knowing, hey, we're getting to the Cup Final. Let's save it for then.
I'll say something here that I think is pretty relevant too. Like, in years past, I'm sure they felt like they had the responsibility to carry this team offensively and do everything in their power to score all the goals when they didn't trust their defense. They didn't trust their goalie. This year in the playoffs, they're finally getting scoring from guys like Connor Brown, not the
Evander
Kane,
Kane,
the bottom guy, but like
Kane's been
he's healthy this year too. Kane was not healthy in the playoffs.
He was in a body cast last year.
They're getting offense from everybody, though. That's my point. They're getting. It's not
a
just
good point.
Like David and Draisaitl have to score all the goals and do everything. Like Connor's been playing a little bit more defensively. Leon hasn't been sacrificing as much offensively. Like there's just a more well-rounded team around them.
McDavid did play 31 last night, and Draisaitl did play, I think, close to 30, maybe 29. And again, there was a fourth period, right? So those guys, they probably would have played 21, 22. But, certainly a lot of minutes in game 1. And I'm sure it looked the same if I flipped over to, Reinhart played 29 minutes, and Ekblad was at 33, Forsling 32, Mikkola 26, Jones 30. Wow. So you got 3 defensemen over 30 minutes in Florida last night. You don't see that very often. I mean, it just speaks to the depth that they do have defensively. So, I think that's pretty much all we got for you today. It's perfect to have you on today with this Bruins news happening, and we know you're dialed. Are you Are you guys traveling all for the Cup? Give us a little schedule of events here for what you guys have going on.
Yeah, so Biz obviously broadcasting every game, so he's on the road for every game, and we're gonna be in Florida next week doing some interviews, doing some just filming some content. So we'll be in Florida, all next week, and working on potential live pods and trying to figure it all out now. But yeah, we'll be in Florida next week, and then after that, it's kind of just play it by ear. If the Cup's in the building, I'm sure we'll be there.
Do me a favor for live shows. Maybe you guys could have a 10 a.m. start instead of a 9 a.m. start. That's the only request that your friends at Morning Cuppa have. 10 a.m. starts. All right.
All right. I'll see what we can do.
It's always good to know someone. G. It's always we know where we fall on the totem pole, so we would just kindly ask for 10 a.m. starts moving forward. Jonny, I don't know if you have anything else that you want to throw in there.
Not that we feel threatened.
What do you guys think Sam Bennett's getting before I go?
He's staying there 8x8.
Good deal.
Yeah,
I like
it. I think he stays in Florida. I think it's a little more than 8x8. I think it's 8x9 probably. And they're gonna have to make the money work. Somebody will be a casualty.
He'd be a fool to leave, though. I think.
I think that with that roster, like you're gonna lose a real quality. Like remember when Tampa lost Andre, they lost Palat and they lost Verhaeghe.
Yeah, look what Palat's got on to do since. He's done nothing with the Devil.
Agreed. But my point is that they're going to lose a contract player, somebody who's on a good contract, and I'm pulling it up as we speak, whether it's Luostarinen makes $3 million, Lundell makes $5. You're going to lose someone like that in order to afford Sam Bennett at 100%, but I think he stays. So
love it.
All right. That's what we got. Hey, last thing. Did you firm up some of the Chicklets U stuff for this summer yet? Because like college hockey with all the commitments and it's been in the news lately, right? With the NCAA shit. Anything you can tease or share about that while we have you?
I'll say this, that I may need to call you after this show to get your help with something I'm working on. So I can't give too much away, but if you put 2 and 2 together,
pretty obvious.
You could probably figure out which team I would need help with from Colby's endpoint. So working on something there, and yeah, that's where we're at now.
All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled for that because I do think people love that some of that behind the scenes stuff you guys do with Chicklets U. That's always wildly
Thank you,
entertaining.
Man.
So all right, pal. Have a good day and safe travels. We'll try to reconnect with you at some point here during the finals. All right.
All right.
You want to roll boys soon?
Oh yeah, we got a West Side Highway. Oh, can Colby you do the West Side Highway now that you're in a relationship?
I did it with you last. Oh yeah.
Well, you were single last time.
By the way, I'm going to Yankees Red Sox at Yankee Stadium on Sunday.
Oh, shoot me! I'm going to fucking Florida. I'll be in Florida.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I got invited.
Want to hang out
there? Yeah, I got a tight itinerary, but I'll text you. Okay.
All right. See you, boys.
All right.
Thanks,
all right. I forgot to tell you that. I've been meaning to mention.
Oh, you forgot.
You
forgot to tell me that.
Well, you know what? I've never been to New Yankee Stadium, by the way, since the new park came. It'll be cool. We're sitting like on the Yankee dugout, which should be pretty cool.
Where you going?
I got invited. I'll tell you more of the story. I got to pop up there. It's like a business thing, so a little over your head. But
all right, rich boy.
Anyways, I do have a life outside of the show, Jonny. I know that's hard for you to believe, but anyways, anything else you want to get off your chest about game one? I know you said you were taking notes. Were you really taking notes, or were you watching with your significant other? Because you weren't texting us back. You weren't texting Glenn back. You weren't texting Brant back. You weren't texting
Glenn back. Glenn was annoying the crap out of me.
I mean, so I just felt like you were kind of ignoring us because you were probably watching the game with someone.
No, I was watching.
All right. Do you have a Ninja Crispy hot take for us today?
It was more so about the state tax stuff. Like if the hot take was, I could just do the read and just say like the hot take was like if it were Boston, New York, Toronto, the NHL would be like, we're fixing this. That was the hot take. But with that, we will go into our read for the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
It's an all-in-one system that includes a 4-quart, 6-cup tempura glass container and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-size air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container fits 4 pounds of chicken or veggies. You can cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes. In the 6-cup container with Max Crisp, Bake, Air Fry, and Recrisp. With the Ninja Crispy, you can prep, cook, and store anything from crispy favorites to one-dish meals. So visit the website and the link in the description. And we've been talking about it all playoffs here on Morning Cup of Hockey, that it's time for you to win your very own Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer. All you got to do is head to the Instagram page and find our contest sign up. Follow at Ninja Crispy Canada and reply with what kind of dish you'd like to cook in your Ninja Crispy. And no Zach Phillips. I still watch every game. Colby's giving me shit just to give me shit. But
I think
I don't answer text much anymore.
Ice Club said NHL playoffs and chill is the new Ice Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
And we know what Netflix and chill means, Johnny.
I've turned her into a Florida Panthers fan, actually.
We know that means you're not watching the actual game.
No, I am.
Okay.
You chill after the game. Say something.
So that's it. So Ninja Crispy hot take.
No, I agree with Vic though. Like Vic's point, if the no income state tax issue was in like the more popular hockey market, I think we'd see.
Yeah,
it
but
different.
so then what? But then let me balance you on that and say, well, then why does
Vic's
everybody?
Opinion, Vic, show your face.
But then why does everybody say, oh, they're gonna rig it and give the Blackhawks or the Bruins the first overall pick? They need the like.
Because that actually supports the argument because they need those teams to get good draft picks.
So then wouldn't they want those teams to have an advantage then? Wouldn't they want those teams to have a tax advantage then?
They want those teams to get the good draft picks because players are now less inclined to sign in those high tax states. So they want them to be able to build through the draft. If you're a free agent, you're not going to want to go sign in New York, Chicago, LA because of the taxes. So you're going to get handed the draft picks so you can stay relevant when everyone wants to go sign in the no income state taxes. That's actually a really good point. Johnny said something smart. Snaps to me.
It does sound like you've thought this argument through.
that was a good.
is not generally your thing. But I'm going to take a pause on it, and I think we have to continue the conversation offline because I just need to understand it. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm processing it correctly. I just don't know.
Okay, so you're saying like your argument was like the
NHL. It's not an argument. I'm really trying to understand your side of it. Is where I'm at with it. Like I said, you seem like you've thought this one through.
Yeah,
I'm not able to talk.
The NHL would want these I'm saying non-traditional, even though Dallas, great fan base, like Vegas, great fan base. I'm just saying these non-traditional markets, the NHL wants those teams to be good and be competitive so they can build an audience.
Okay.
No
argument to that part.
The states that already have those high taxes, like New York, LA, Chicago, that already have the fan base built in, not LA, but New York, Chicago, Boston, the traditional hockey markets, they don't need the help.
Right.
But in order to stay good, they would need those high draft picks because if guys don't want to sign there because they'll get less money because of taxes, they're going to have to build to the draft.
So, but what's the part about? Okay, all right. We're gonna talk about this off air because we don't need to drown on about this. I'm taking you got it here. Okay, let's do Bet365. And then I need to ask the chat and the audience for a recommendation on something. And so do Bet365 and then I'll ask for my recommendation.
Okay. So obviously no bet tonight because there's no games, but if you want to get in the action for Stanley Cup playoffs at Bet365, they got you from game props, player props, totals, and the money line. You can even bet on futures like series winners and now the Stanley Cup champions and much, much more. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So download the app and get in on the game. An official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You must be 19 or older. What do you have to say?
Got it. By the way, J-Rock, there's no L here. This is Johnny's hot take. So this is, I'm trying to understand.
You lost, buddy.
which side of this and what he's
Dingle Bob. Good point though. New York and Chicago have jumped the most lottery spots since it started.
Right. So, okay. So we've got our Bet365 done. I need to ask the chat, does anybody have a recommendation for a coffee cup that keeps your coffee hot? Because what I find is that I keep my house so cold, especially in the summer and this time of year, it feels like my coffee does not stay hot long enough. And so I saw on Amazon they have some of these coffee cups that you can get that like keep it hot. And I'm just wondering, does anybody have one? And can anybody recommend some good stuff for me? And if you wouldn't mind, just leave it on the YouTube stream when we're done. That way I can like sit there tonight and look through it and then go on Amazon and order what you guys are telling me. I do have a Yeti, but it's like a Yeti to go cup. I guess I could always use the Yeti. Listen, Yetis are great. But I want something I can bring down here to my office with me, and I can, my coffee can stay warm for like the next 45 minutes. So again, I know that there's some options on Amazon, but I want to know if you guys have used any of them and you guys can actually recommend one. So do me a favor. The show's going to end here in the next 2 minutes. Leave it in the comments on YouTube. That way, like I said, I can look at it tonight, and then I can order something, and then I can report back to you guys on that. So
what temperature do you keep your house at?
Well, my wife and my kids have been down the shore for a little bit. And so like, honestly, like 64 when they're not here, I literally keep it at 64 degrees in the house. And then because my like basement is where closest to the actual unit, my basement is like freezing. So my office might be like 58 degrees most days. So I'm telling you, it just gets so cold so quick. And it's so disappointing when we're 10 minutes into the show and like it's cold. Maybe I need a microwave in my office. I don't know. But I just, yes, NY Marine, my electric bill is uncomfortably stupid. But it's fine. I'd rather be comfortable. So with that, Johnny, go ahead.
I just wanted to address Mr. Thermistor. He said, answer my question. Why were there no tax arguments when the Panthers sucked for 30 years? Your argument is baseless. We talked about this for the last like 2 days. We are not on that side.
Yeah.
We think
Buddy,
the whole
we don't think that
is stupid.
We don't think that the state tax thing is everything like everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
And I literally went back yesterday's show or the day before, and I read what Florida has done for the last 20 fucking years, and it's been shit. So until they got a great GM, and their GM has done an incredible job. So I like
just wanted that to be clear. I've never seen that.
Like you want to come in, if you want to come in the 11th hour and start fucking trying to jump from the top rope, like give us a break here.
He said, okay, cool.
Okay. All right. We can all hug it out. All right, Mr. Thermistor.
Okay, cool. My bad then.
All right. Yeah. We can end the show. We can all be friends.
Okay.
We can all hug it out. Let's hug it out. So with that, we don't know what we have planned for tomorrow yet. We will try to get a guest. We'll try to get someone who's in Edmonton, but everybody's going to be out boozing tonight. So
nobody wants to wake up.
Getting somebody to get on camera with us at 7:00 in the morning on Edmonton, a little bit difficult. But we will work on getting someone in here with us tomorrow. I'm laughing at the comments.
Sorry, Mr. Thermistor. We've never actually teamed up on somebody before. That was a first.
It usually doesn't happen like that. But hit the like button on this episode. The audience was big, and we had a big audience today, so it's great to see everybody back in here. Everybody excited about hockey again, since the NHL does their best to make sure everybody forgets about this. Make sure you get those automatic downloads on. Subscribers, I need to see that number climbing. We are in reaching distance of 30,000 subscribers for this show, which again is everything for us. If you guys want to see us back next season, you want to see that contract negotiation continue to go well, we need those subscriptions. We need those likes. We need those comments. You guys are doing it to keep your boys on the air. Even if you love Jonny and you hate me, we got to keep Jonny has a much more expensive life in the last couple of weeks than he did previously. So we got to keep the dollars flowing into Jonny's pocket.
That's Father's Day on Sunday. You need a gift. Can I get you a gift?
Yeah, that's right. He has to get me a gift. Yeah. So
wait, Mr. Thermostat goes, I got roasted, LMAO.
you didn't get roasted. It just,
that was really
dealing
funny.
with a couple of angry, unhinged people.
I like this.
So all right, Jonny, I hope you have a good day. We hope the chat has a good day. Daily Face Off Live at noon. Tyler and Frank. Tyler's going to be absolutely buzzing. I'm sure Oilers Nation has programming going on their YouTube channel every day. Remember, we are all under one banner, Nation Network, even though we have our different little parts of Nation Network. We're all one. We're all the same. So I did see a comment yesterday in the YouTube that Tyler gets paid to come on our show. That's why he deals with us two clowns, Jonny, which is kind of funny because no one actually gets paid to come on our show. That's just not how it works. But we hope everybody has a great day. Go ahead, Jonny. What do you need to say?
No, you're forgetting one shout out.
Oh, happy birthday to Maddie Lazarus, Jonny's dad. That's right. I did forget it.
I promised him.
Loyal listener of the show, loyal retweeter, loyal favoriter of the streams.
The biggest Twitter whore on the planet.
He's all over it. Jonny's dad. Happy birthday, Mr. Laz. Sorry you have to put up with Jonny. He's probably going to strike out and not get you anything good for Father's Day. So I'll apologize in advance.
Let's also thank Zach Phillips for always filling in to produce when we need him to. Let's just make sure we thank Zach.
Why are you thanking Zach? I don't get it.
Because Vic wrote, thank your producer, you fucks.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. All right, listen, we hope everybody has a great day. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll see everybody right here at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.